Well, it's springtime here in Maryland, which means it's time to plant some trees. Hi, I'm Lou Meyer, arborist with the Davey Tree Expert Company, and today we're going to talk about how to choose the right tree to plant on your property. The first thing we talk about when we talk about picking a tree is the right tree in the right place. It's a simple idiom to remember. Helps you remember that when you're planting a tree to plant, that it's going to fit in the place and it's going to fit long-term in your yard. So if you have a small yard with cramped space, maybe not plant an oak tree or a tulipapa that you know is going to get large with a huge spread. Or if you have a sunny yard, maybe not plant a shade-tolerant tree like a dogwood or a redbud that prefers that dappled shade. Some other things to consider when choosing where to plant a tree on your property are site conditions like moisture levels. Is this a wet spot where your downspout constantly drains into? Or is it super dry? Is it a very hot area, say backed up against a brick wall that absorbs heat all day and radiates it at night? Or is it shady, very sunny, exposed to the elements? All these things should come into play when choosing which tree to plant on your property. When I talk to homeowners about what trees they want to plant on their property, some of the questions I ask them are, what are your preferences? Do you want a tree that's flowering? Do you want a tree for screening maybe your neighbor's pool? Do you like a tree that's tall? Do you like certain colors? I love purple, so redbuds are one of my favorite trees. Another good way to find tree species that you like are to visit local arboretums or botanical gardens. Right here in Montgomery County, we've got Brookside Gardens up in Wheaton. We're fortunate enough to be super close to Northeast DC, where the United States National Arboretum is. And there's a variety of other choices nearby that have tree species with placards. So you could see something that you like, know exactly what it is, make a list of that, and take it to your nursery. Another good idea, since we all carry cell phones with cameras now, is when you're walking around your neighborhood, take pictures of trees that catch your eye, something that you might want on your property. Send those pictures to an arborist that can give you feedback on, yes, this is this species, this would work in this area, this is its growth habit. Nurseries will also help you find those things. One thing that I always hear from homeowners that's a bit of a hurdle is, I want a tree that has lots of flowers but doesn't create any mess. I've got bad news, that tree doesn't exist. But you gotta find a medium ground somewhere. So flowers on trees leads to the fruit on trees. The fruit on trees are what fall onto your cars, your decks, or your driveways. So if you want a flowering tree, you're gonna have fruit in the end. There's a few different ways that you can source trees right here in Montgomery County. There are a number of reputable nurseries close by where you can purchase trees. There are also county programs that provide trees to Montgomery County residents at low or no cost. Reforest Montgomery is one of those. Tree Montgomery is another one of those programs. And Rainscapes of Gaithersburg and Rockville are two different ones that residents of those neighborhoods can access free trees. Montgomery County Department of Transportation also plants roadside trees at little or no cost to homeowners that request them. So now that you've decided what species tree you want on your property, you've either visited the nursery or they're dropping them off from the county or state, what do you look for in the tree? Well, right here I've got a tree that I actually picked up from Howard County, my home county, in a tree giveaway last fall. So what we're looking for when we're looking at a container-grown tree, and a container-grown tree means that it's in this black container here. Sometimes they're brown, sometimes they're sacks, they're not plastic, but they're cloth. Another way that you sometimes get trees is balled and burlapped, where it's the root ball of the tree that has been dug out and they wrap a burlap bag around them. A third way is bare root, where usually those are mailed to you. They're small whips and their roots are exposed. They're packaged in sawdust and moisture, and then they're wrapped with plastic so that they don't dry out. But usually for these kinds of things, you're finding either container grown or balled and burlapped. For the homeowner, I suggest container grown. They're a lot lighter than balled and burlap trees, so easy to lift and move, as opposed to a balled and burlap tree where usually you need equipment like a dingo or a bobcat to move them. So we're looking for a straight trunk without any damage, so any cracks or any breaks. You know, sometimes when they're handled at nurseries, they'll snap. So you want to reject those trees if you see them. You're looking for branches that are straight, they aren't broken or hanging over. Now you're going to get some of those with transportation, but you want most of them to not be broken. At this time of the year, it's kind of mid-spring right now, so you don't have a lot of leaves. You can't really inspect the leaves for color, but if the tree is leafed out, you want nice green leaves. Of course, if it's a purple leaf tree, you want them nice and purple, but what you don't want is leaves that are browning, curled up, that look like they're dry. And so for this time of year, you're looking at nice little buds popping, and you can see buds on this tree. Down here, you want to see, look for where the root crown flares out. And this is true of any tree once you plant it. You don't want a tree to look like a utility pole going straight into the ground. You want to see a little bit of a flare. So at the base of these trees, you'll want to see a little bit of a flare. One of the problems that we find a lot with container grown trees like this is something called girdling roots. As these roots grow, they hit the wall of the container and they begin to wrap around, and they become what's called root bound. Now that's a problem for a few reasons, but the big one is that if they wrap around the trunk of the tree, they can girdle the tree or suffocate the tree. And so you want to look for any of those girdling roots that you can see. Now, of course, they're buried in soil, so it's hard to see a lot of those, but from the surface, you can move that around and see if anything's wrapped around the trunk of the tree. Planting a tree is a long-term investment. Trees live for years and years. Most of them far outlive human beings. So when choosing the right tree for your property, make sure it's one that fits the property, the right tree in the right place, and that fits your personality so that you can enjoy it for years to come.